may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
The Bears.
Because of the way they play the nickel corner here, and the nickel corner plays 88-85% of the snaps. He's got to be like part linebacker.
The Bears.
When you're in a scouting room, there's going to be differences of opinion.
The Bears.
Once coaches get involved, of course, they've got their own opinions about what fits best for what they want to do, and that could be drastically different than what the scouts say.
Well, you're looking at traits, and number one, he tested very, very well.
The Bears.
One thing good about Kevin, he's been with two other organizations, as well as being the commissioner of the Big Ten. He's been around.
The Bears.
With Greg Olson, Jerry didn't want to get rid of him. I didn't want to get rid of him. Nobody wanted to get rid of him. One guy wanted to get rid of him, Mike Martz, because Mike Martz didn't know what the hell to do with him. And we tried to talk Lovey out of hiring Mike Martz for a month and a half. He's playing zone, but number one, he doesn't get enough depth with the drop. But who the hell's Gilbert? How many times does a 305, 310-pound defensive tackle drop into coverage, especially in a key situation?
The Bears.
Greg, why are teams wrong on quarterback evaluation so often?
Number one, it's a hard position to evaluate. There's probably not as many real good quarterback evaluators as there needs to be.
The Bears. The Bears. The Bears.
Welcome, everyone, to a fresh edition of GTF Gabriel Talks Football. My name is Aldo Gandia. Tonight at 8 p.m., we've got Buffon 55 with Danny Shimon, Alyssa Barbieri, and I'm going to be filling in for John Buffon, who is out on assignment or just crying his way to sleep because of yesterday's loss. But nonetheless, we've got, I hate to say therapy because Greg has said, I am not your therapist when I've complained to him. But nonetheless, maybe he'll help lift my spirits. Greg Gabriel, how are you, my friend?
If I'm going to be a therapist, I'm sending you a bill for $500 an hour.
There you go. It'd be worth much more than that right now because I'm close, man. I am close.
It was disappointing. Yes. Very disappointing, especially when for, I'm not going to say, better than a half, they dominated the game. The defense dominated for better part of three quarters. The offense really came out flat in the second half for various reasons. Special teams, when you look at a block punt, a missed field goal, some of the kick coverage, not up to par. It's funny because on the first kick that Santos had, that was drifting to the right. And, he just made it. And then the second one was wide right. I mean, it tells me, it's kind of like, when you hit the golf ball and the ball slices to the right, you got the face of the club open a little bit, and you might have his foot open a little bit. I mean, I'm not a kicking expert, but it's something, it could be something that's very, very minute because he easily had the distance. He just didn't kick it right. Right. The block, that's probably something with the blocking up front. I haven't looked at the replay because I had a doctor appointment this morning. But, all told, the defense was better than I anticipated. I thought the offense would be better. You got to give Minnesota some credit. Their defense was pretty darn good. And it might even be better than last year's defense. But, at the same time, the Bears defense really gave JJ a lot of trouble, and then they kind of let him off the hook. And, the pressure that was getting there early on wasn't getting there late. And there was a few calls too but I hate to, you lose a game, I hate to say it was the ref's call, but the Bears are down to the 24-yard line in the third quarter. Now they're going to at least kick a field goal at that point. And then there's a holding call on Wright. That was like, what? There was no hold there.
That's right.
the defensive left end fell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he punched him and the guy fell, but there wasn't anything close to a hold. You know, you can fault the right side of the offensive line. Wright had 2 false starts. Jonah had 2 false starts. That's on those guys. Braxton actually looked like he played fairly well without seeing the replay yet.
Yes, I thought he did. Yeah.
Dahlman got his rear end kicked on one play on that one sack. He just got bullied. So that stuff's got to get cleaned up. But the one thing we talked about it off the air, when Ben first challenged that when they called the guy was down by contact and there was a fumble that the Bears had recovered on the play, I thought, oh my God, this is an awful challenge. He's just throwing away a timeout. And then they showed it again in replay. I go, holy God, he made the right call.
Yes, he did.
And
yes, he did.
The league will come back and say, yeah, the officials made an error.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't do anything for the Bears. But, this isn't college football. It's pro football.
Yep.
When the knee is down, that does not mean you're down.
Mm-hmm.
He caught the ball. He fell. He had not yet had any contact with either of the 2 defenders around him. Then he starts to get up. And when he's starting to get up, he's holding the ball here. Noah Sewell, boom, punches the ball. No part of Noah's body touched the receiver's body. Had it would have been down by contact. He cleanly punched the ball. The ball comes out. The Bears recover. That should have been the Bears' ball.
Should have been the Bears' ball. Now, you said that the defense, allowed J.J. McCarthy to I forgot the exact word you used, but he got 3 touchdowns on the Bears defense. I will contend
all in the fourth quarter.
All in the fourth quarter, which is the first time.
It was like Sunday's game with Buffalo and Baltimore all over again.
Yeah, it was. I think the first time in NFL history a NFL rookie quarterback has scored or passed for 3 touchdowns in the final quarter, according to Brad Biggs, if I read that correctly.
He passed for 2, ran for 1, didn't he?
Yes. And I was actually looking for that correct quote to make sure I got it right, but I should have highlighted it. And just scroll a little more here.
One throw to Jefferson was a hell of a throw.
Mm-hmm.
It really, you can't take that away from JJ. The coverage was pretty good. He threaded the needle on that. It was a hell of a throw.
Yep. But my point that I'm trying to make is that the offense really helped JJ. The Bears offense really helped JJ too. They
couldn't move in the second half.
Exactly. And so, again, you're putting so much pressure. We've seen this with Bears offenses for years now. They put so much pressure on this Bears defense. And, my buddy Dan Aguirre says the Bears defense always goes on siesta in the fourth quarter. But I think it's not just the Bears defense. And we have to account for the fact that they were missing 3 starters. And then one of the replacements at cornerback is injured too. So by the time they're in the fourth quarter.
He came back in the next
series. Did he? Oh, yeah. Nashon? I didn't know that. Okay.
Because he came right back in. And in fairness, Noah Sewell played pretty good. He was a leading tackler.
Oh my gosh! I thought he's one of the bright spots. Him and Deo were excellent yesterday. They played very well, indeed. But I think the number one story here is Caleb Williams, and that he looked exactly like the quarterback from last year.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think, and I'm trying to be as honest as I can, that I'm not going to say he's playing catch up, but he's not there yet with this, and the whole offense isn't. It's a work in progress. There were some good things. I'll be honest, I didn't like the play calling all the time.
Yeah, I thought there were some mistakes there too.
Yeah, there was too much horizontal stuff instead of vertical. He made some really nice throws. Obviously, the overthrow to DJ that would have been a touchdown. That was huge because when you look back at it, that would have given the Bears more time on that last drive. There's a lot of things, though. I mean, they got beat, and they got beat for a reason. The other team played better in the second half. Now it's, I kept thinking I'll take 1-1 after 2 games, and I'm good with it. Now they got to beat Detroit. It's real simple.
Yeah, and if they don't, there's going to be some trouble. Here, this is Cole Kmet talking about 2 misses that he had. One to Cole Kmet. This is Caleb talking about 2 misses, one to Cole Kmet and one to DJ Moore.
Yeah, we worked this play all week and was hitting it, and we kind of did it twice today and missed both in the same spot, missed it right in front of him, and it's frustrating because did everything perfect all the way up to that and then just missed, and that happens, and so just being able to come back from that and keep punching, keep fighting, but those are big moments in the game. Both times, I believe, we were either high red zone or in the red zone, and just missed right in front of them. Just a bit outside, so or inside. So frustrating. Something that you practice, something that you hit throughout the whole week, and move the backer and whip it in there and just miss.
You take such great pride in his accuracy. Do you know why that didn't go the way it was supposed to go? Or?
I think I got to go back and watch it, honestly, but I think I set too far in front of it and tried to lead him and let him a little bit too far.
I agree. Let him a little bit too far on the second throw. That first throw sailed on him.
Yes, but why is this still happening? I mean, what the media is talking about this morning, and I think rightfully so. He lost.
I haven't looked at the media, nor will I. So
he lost to a rookie quarterback, JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy looked much. Hold on. Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. JJ McCarthy looked much more composed than Caleb Williams. JJ McCarthy made the big throws. Caleb Williams looked like shit. Now you can take it away.
I don't agree with that. I mean, JJ McCarthy also threw a pick 6, got sacked twice in the first 2 series. Looks good. He came back. I mean,
I'm talking about the fourth quarter.
Yeah, fourth quarter, JJ was a better quarterback. Now, let's say this. They go down in a short period of time, even after that overthrow of DJ, they still go down and get a touchdown. And the one thing that just stuck in my mind was, they played some tempo in that. And when you put Caleb in tempo, he's at his best. So why don't they play more tempo? Now, you don't have to play it all the time, but mix it in more because he just seems to be more on when they're doing that than off. But I thought from the standpoint of staying in the pocket, being able to move up the pocket, then escape, he did that better than at any time last year. And so that part, there was improvement. He missed some throws, no question about it. But there's a lot of stuff. You know me, I'm not going with the negative. I go with the positive. What do we got to build on? What do we got to do to get better? You piss and moan for a few hours after the game, and it's on to next week. And that's what I learned being in the league all that time. You can't dwell on yesterday because you got another game in 6 days.
But you got to fix the problem. And so you need to deal with the negatives. You need to dwell on the negatives to fix the problems. This is not going to correct itself by just moving on. You got to look at the film. You got to correct this guy. You might have
and that's what they do today. That's what they do today.
Well, and so it's right for us to talk about it because there are obvious problems with this quarterback after his 18th game in the NFL. And Greg, this goes back to USC. You said it before we drafted him. What happened to him in those last 5-6 games at USC? This guy's record over his last 6 games in college and his pro record, he's a loser. That's the truth.
There's no question. He did not play. Starting the game that bit him in the rear end was the Notre Dame game.
Yes,
and he threw 3 interceptions in the first half in that game, and then it kind of went downhill from there.
You know, and I apologize for being so frustrated, but we have to look at this truthfully. And the truth is that what I saw out of Caleb Williams yesterday was incredibly disappointing. And I wonder if after the bye, because if this continues after the bye, I am predicting Tyson Bagent will be the starting quarterback. If Caleb continues to play like he did yesterday, missing people with throws, missing wide open receivers down the field, then you have to make a change. I don't care. Somebody in the chat said this, Keds, sorry, I don't want to put it over your face. Question for Greg. Let me do it this way. There you go. Question for Greg. If JJ sat for a year and came out looking more comfortable, at least in the fourth quarter, than Caleb, do you think it would have been better to have sat, and I'm assuming he says Caleb here, for a year and developed them? And I think could be the case.
Well, that's you're talking after the fact. I mean, the year he got is valuable experience. Eldo, I know what you're saying. I understand your frustration. And you're not the only one. There's probably 3.5 million that got the same
At least.
thought. To me, I'm disappointed. Mm-hmm. I expected more. But a lot of you guys want to throw in the frickin' towel. Mm-hmm. I'm in a group chat on X, and I mean, I got off of that period because it just got too negative, and I'm just not gonna fall into that trap.
Yeah,
I get it. People get more emotional about football games because there's not enough of them. You only got 17 a year. Right. And so, you're more emotional about a football game than anything. You were hoping for a win. They didn't get a win. Well, the Baltimore Ravens were hoping for a win too. How'd you like to be in Baltimore? They blew up. There was 3:48 left in the game, and they're up by 15 points.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay,
and then they lost. Okay, Kansas City got their rear end kicked down in Brazil. So. There's good teams that lost,
but this isn't a good team. They haven't proven they're a good team. The Bears, they haven't proven. They haven't won in years.
If you go back to the previous years, you got a solid point. But I'm not going there only because it's probably at least a 25% turnover in personnel, maybe more than that. We said figure out, and then a whole new coaching staff. So let's give it some time. Now, as far as Tyson, if Caleb doesn't improve, well, then you got to think about making a change. But I don't think you talk about it after one game. Take away 2 or 3 plays and the Bears win that game. Well, it's not that they were blown out.
I agree with you. You don't talk. I agree with you, Greg, that you don't talk about it after one game. But if the reports that came out of training camp, which were that he was not getting things right and Ben was on him and so forth. So this is more than just one game. It's his preseason performance, the performance against the Kansas City Chiefs, the performance in camp during scrimmages and so forth. Those were not glowing reports on Caleb Williams. So this is not just one game.
Well, you got your opinion. I got my opinion. I'm not going to overreact. I've never overreacted. If they would have got blown out, I would have overreacted. But at the same time, okay, why did JJ get better? One of the reasons JJ got better is because the run game started working. Okay, and that made the pass game easier. Now, who's that on? Well, that's not on Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
That's on the defensive line and the whole defense as a whole. Now, the one question I have about the defense, and I thought that the DA called a pretty good game for the most part. I don't think Billings played a freaking down in the second half. I got to, where was he? And he's the best run stuffer they got.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know.
I looked through the stats to see if he had a tackle. He didn't.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, I'll be looking at tape, and hopefully Buffon 55, Danny Shimon, who is looking at the tape right now, will be able to explain a little bit more about what happened. I'm just there's great. Just growing concerns here. Growing concerns. The frustration is real, and I would not have been as frustrated if we would have lost this game and Caleb would have performed better in terms of being more accurate, and the missed open wide receivers that could be explained as that guy was the third progression, and the pressure was on.
Well, there's a couple times where I think that was the case. Somebody said, "Well, you missed somebody open deep." He's been having. Now you got to be fair too. If we're going to be critical, you got to be fair.
For sure.
He's been drilled. Since Ben got here, you go to 1, you go to 2, take the check down. The check down is a positive play.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So if the open guy deep is number 3, and again, I haven't looked at the tape. So, I don't know who 1, who 2, or who 3 is. But if the open guy's number 3 and he doesn't get to him, he doesn't get to him, and part of that is inexperience, and he takes the check down and he gets some yardage that way. I don't see a problem with that. I don't like the way the second half started. 3, but I didn't like 2 out of the 3 calls. On that. Yeah. So was that his fault or the guy calling the play's fault?
Well, Caleb said after the game, he didn't blame the play calling. He says, "I'm not blaming the play calling. The play is called, and we have to execute it," which is right.
There's a lot of truth to that. You got, but the execution of a play isn't one player. The execution. I
all
stick
11.
my finger up there, and you see my arthritis.
I noticed that. What happened there?
No, that's. I got that one too.
Oh my goodness! That's jeepers. Those things are going to north,
and they get like little. It only hurts a little bit. And it doesn't hurt, and it's like periodically it gets like a burning sensation.
Ooh, yeah.
But hey, that's arthritis. It is what it is.
Oh, I was going to ask if it was like from catching a football and your fingers bent that way.
No, this just started within. I'm going to say it started 2 to 3 years ago.
Wow.
And my older sister has it, but she's had it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to take any medication for it or anything.
Nah.
Like that. But anyway, go back.
It doesn't hurt. Go ahead.
It's easy to point the finger at the quarterback.
Yes, you're right.
Because he's okay, but there's 10 other guys on the field. And the other and those take like he gets sacked. And Hardman comes right up the middle and blasts him. Okay, was that on Caleb? No, that was on Drew Dahlman.
Yeah.
He got beat. Real simple.
It was. Drew Dahlman had a disappointing performance. Jonah Jackson had a disappointing performance.
I don't know if taking play after play after play, I have to look at the tape to say good, bad, or indifferent. But Jonah had 2 pre-snap penalties.
Yeah.
And this guy's been playing in the league for a while at a high level. He went to a Pro Bowl. There's no excuse for that.
Yep. This is, I believe I loaded this correctly. 1st and 10 at the Bears 39. This is a nice pass from Caleb to DJ Moore. So let's start looking at some positive stuff here. All right. So again, it's a second quarter, 12:40 left, 1st and 10. There's DJ up at the top of the screen. The snap comes in cleanly. Caleb steps up in the pocket. Nice blocking by Cole Kmet on the outside pass rusher, and he hits a dime, Caleb does, to DJ Moore. Here it is one more time, Greg. Nice blocking there by Cole Kmet. Very nice. And after the game, Ben Johnson was asked, why weren't the tight ends more involved in the passing game? And he said, from week to week, it's going to change. And those tight ends knew that they were, I forgot the word that he used, but basically saying they weren't going to be a big part of the passing attack because we needed them to do some pass blocking, and they did it there.
Yeah, and that's why they had Benedict playing basically a tight end position. He had a report every time he came in.
Yeah. So, of course, we've got the typical question here from Carl. Oh, I didn't save it. But Carl was asking, are you frustrated? And I'm paraphrasing how he asked it. Are you frustrated that it was Theo in there getting those reps and not the second-round draft pick, Ozzie Trapillo?
No. That's a coaching decision.
Yeah.
And Theo had a pretty strong preseason, so they went with him. I'm not, I don't worry about stuff like that. A lot of fans want to do that. They can if they want. But Theo's probably more athletic than Ozzie is. I was thinking they might have we were talking about this yesterday, have a play for one of those guys. And I was thinking he was playing so much that I thought they might have something, but it never developed where you could do that. The running game wasn't that good. And that was Minnesota's defense.
Yep. Yes, it was.
Their defensive line did a hell of a job. Now, I'm saying that too. I think they only gave up one sack. Well, they count the one as a sack too, where he had the throwaway, but he didn't get sack. The one sack was Hardaway coming up the middle. But on the outside, Braxton and Wright actually held up pretty good against those real good edge rushers.
They did. There are a lot of good things that happened yesterday, but it's really, really difficult to highlight them. And I want to, but I keep my attention keeps going to the frustrating plays. So in the second half, I'm looking at ESPN's breakdown. The third quarter starts. The Bears don't gain a single yard coming out of the locker room. 3 plays, 0 yards. And then the Bears get the interception and score a touchdown and take then a 17-6 lead. The defense holds again, 3 plays, minus 10 yards, but the Bears offense can't do anything. 5 plays and they punt. And then the Vikings can't do anything again. They punt after 3 plays. And all of a sudden, now we go to the fourth quarter. The Bears move the ball downfield, but things fall apart because Caleb misses that one play. He gets penalized. What did you think about, him being penalized for grounding the ball? He didn't get it past the line of scrimmage.
Well, they counted that as a sack, I think, but it was. My personal opinion is it wasn't grounding. He stumbled. He was going to run.
Yes.
He was going to run, and he stumbled.
That's a great point.
And he had the wherewithal to try to get the ball out of his hand. Had it gotten to the line of scrimmage, there would have been no call. But it didn't. But I'm not going to beat up Caleb on that play because he was trying to make a positive play out of it.
Mm-hmm.
He lost his feet.
I agree.
The grass monster got him. The big play that drive, though, was the call that was a non-call.
Yes.
On Darnell Wright.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I'm looking at it here. It is a first the Bears had a 1st and 5. DeAndre Swift ran for 5 yards to pick up the first down. So it's 1st and 10, and then that
When they're at like the 24-yard line or something.
Exactly at the 24. Yes.
Okay, and then they call a holding call on Wright that was like a phantom call.
Exactly. And then the next play was the miss to Cole Kmet. And then there's the other 10-yard penalty that was on Caleb for intentional grounding.
Right.
And the Bears then completed a pass to OZ to get them, we thought, within field goal position, but Cairo missed the 50-yarder, and that was really it. The touchdown that followed by the Vikings, and then another touchdown. It was just miserable.
Yeah, that series turned the game. Now, had they gotten 7 or 3 out of that drive, we're talking a different thing. But that shoulda, coulda, woulda. I get that.
Yep.
But again, I try to. I got to talk you off the ledge every week after a loss. I try to look. I try to look at the positives, and there was, and officiating. These guys are pro officials. They shouldn't make calls like that. I never saw. I guess I wasn't paying close enough attention. Olin a couple times posted that. Why aren't they? They're holding Dexter. They're holding Dexter. And no call, but yet they call the holding call on Darnell Wright when the Bears are moving.
Yep. So now they have to go on the road, as you said, to Detroit. And what's
Detroit's going to be trying to, after they had a piss poor performance.
Yes. Worse than the Bears did yesterday, in my opinion, but that's arguable.
They're horrific. But now, and it's a big, huge game for Ben. I don't think it's as huge for the Lions players. It's huge for the Lions fans.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, but it's not huge for the Lions players. But the game is huge for Ben because it's like I'm going home.
Indeed. All right, let's get to some questions
and
here.
He doesn't know how to attack that team.
Oh,
there's something wrong.
Yeah, and hopefully everyone, all 11 guys on offense at the field, execute because it's just not on Caleb. There's no doubt about that.
One or the other. I mean,
Exactly. Team Skeletor says, Greg, who do you think was the most responsible for the loss last night? The offensive line, the DBs, CW, Ben Johnson, the referees, or all of the above? I knew you were going to say that. Sparta has a good question here. It says, instead of having Santos try to kick the ball out of the end zone to save time on the clock at the end of the game, which he failed to do, why didn't he just kick it out of bounds? Yeah. So do you think the better decision, knowing that Santos has had problems at Soldier Field kicking it deep, you think the better decision might have been to kick it out of bounds, and that Richard Hightower should have said, you know what? I think it's just better we give him the ball at the 40 yards, kick this sucker out of bounds.
Yeah, well, that I hear you on that one. And it's a valid point. You are giving them really good field position, 40-yard line, which meant if you stop them and they get a good punt, you're going to be, no timeout, sitting back with 90 yards to go or whatever.
Right.
And so from that I get that standpoint. I get what Ben was saying. He said the way we looked at it is we'd get the 2-minute warning, one timeout, we get the ball with 58 seconds left. And in 58 seconds, you should be able to go down and get 3 points to tie the game.
Yeah.
So even if you don't have a timeout, you should be able to do that. So, I get it. Should he have done it the other way? I mean, you can say that. I don't know what the analytics are on something like that.
Right.
I had somebody ask me that last night. And I just didn't answer it
Mm.
because,
It's a tough one.
you're
There's no
wrong
doubt.
one way or the other. It's Cairo has kicked it out of the
He
end
has.
zone before.
Mhm.
I don't think there was much wind, so I don't think that was a factor.
It was a beautiful night at Soldier Field. Yeah,
So
wind was not a factor.
It was, he miskicked it, and he missed the field goal. I mean, special teams as a whole, if anybody's in trouble, Hightower's got to be a little bit in trouble or frustrated or whatever.
I think he should be in trouble. And this is a great point by
Can I
J2K.
answer the phone and tell somebody I'm on a podcast?
Absolutely. I will go full frame here, and I will. He's going to be off quickly here, so we're fine. J2K has a great question. J2K with a great question. Why didn't, with the new kickoff rules, if Cairo kicks the ball 2 yards, then that would have been an instant flag, stop the clock, and put the ball in the 40-yard line. If that is correct.
Well, he might have used up 2 seconds.
Right.
No, wait, I take that back. The clock doesn't start until somebody touches it.
Okay.
Okay, so now I forgot where the ball goes. If the ball hits before the 20-yard line, the landing zone is between the 20 and the goal line.
Yep.
If the ball hits before the 20-yard line, the offense gets the ball on the 40 or 45.
Right.
I don't remember if it's the.
I think it's the 40. And Swifty is saying it's the same as he would have kicked that out of bounds at the 1 yard line or whatever. But maybe that should have been the play. And Swifty goes on to say the clock doesn't start till it gets touched, like you just said. So maybe that should have been the strategic play. Now Ben Johnson after the game was asked, and he says we talked about it and we thought the best decision was for Cairo to kick it out of the end zone. And he moved on. He was pissed.
Well, he wasn't happy, and he should have been. I mean, he's got nobody to blame, but I mean, he's partially to blame. The players are partially to blame. Some of the other coaches are partially to blame. This is on the Chicago Bears. Real simple.
And D. Starren is saying, with that 40-second save, have changed the outcome. Who knows? It could have. Maybe he throws a Hail Mary and we score. What we're talking about here is a better chance to win at the end.
I'll give it now. This team doesn't have Josh Allen playing quarterback. So let's go back to the end of the first half of the Buffalo game against Baltimore. 25 seconds left in the half. When Buffalo gets the ball, Baltimore kicks the ball off to Buffalo. And that 25 seconds, they went down and kicked a field goal. No timeouts.
Yeah.
25 seconds.
There you go. And as Swifty correctly points out, we didn't need a touchdown at that point. We just needed a field goal to get
field goal for going to overtime.
Right. So, man, frustrating. A lot of coaching decisions. Hightower, I think, meets with the media. I want to say Wednesday or Thursday. I think it's Thursday. The coordinators meet Thursday. So it'll be interesting to see if he addresses that, because I'm a little down on Hightower. I root for him because he seems like such a great guy, and he's had success in this league. There's no doubt about it. But there seems to have been some special teams foul-ups last year, and now maybe this year
it wasn't a real clean operation in preseason. I generally give a pass in preseason because you got it's a tryout period. You got so many different guys playing. But the kickoff coverage, for the most part, was pretty good. The punt coverage left a little bit to be desired. And then obviously you got a block kick. Somebody missed a block for that kick to get blocked, and then Cairo misses the field goal. So you had 4 or 5 different plays. Maybe when you count the punts that had very average coverage, you might have had a half a dozen special teams plays that were not up to par.
Right. Jay Gris says we barely saw Loveland and little to no Burden. What a waste of draft capital. It's too early to say that.
And Ben answered that after. He goes, the tight ends weren't going to be utilized in this game the way we had the game plan set up. They were trying to protect the quarterback.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
you got to give these guys more time before saying they're wasted draft picks.
I'm not worried about that. That part of that is you got to understand the situation. I mean, and that's where, coaches go in the game plan and I think he maybe should have been in a little bit more of attack mode.
I agree with that.
But,
Yes.
I'm saying that after the fact.
Sure.
I mean, he's got a history of putting points up against this scheme. The interior of the defensive line is better this year. They added 2 new players than it has been Florey's first 2 years at Minnesota.
Yeah.
They got Allen. They got Hargrave from San Francisco, and they got Allen from Washington. That's 2 pretty good players in the inside.
J2K says the loss overshadows the positives. The worst thing was the penalties and Caleb playing too juiced up. Both are fixable. Thank you, J2K, for that.
I don't disagree with that. I'm not as negative as some people are. I did not listen. I didn't stay up to listen to the presser. I just said I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Good night.
I don't blame you.
It's funny though. I gotta tell you. So we react on good plays and bad plays, right?
Sure thing.
So I'm sitting in my family room. It's just me and the dog, and the dog's on the ottoman right in front of me, and I got my feet on the ottoman too. So, and then something happens, and I go, God damn it, and the dog gets like, what did I do? And he gets all upset. And he's looking at me like, what did I do? I'm sorry.
No.
And I felt so bad for him.
I feel bad for him too. Look at that cute little fella. It looks like he's looking at you.
He isn't little now. That was 102.
Oh my goodness. And we're being asked here. You're being asked about from Lee Bruin. What I didn't get was when Swift was struggling for yards, wouldn't Monangai made sense. Now, Monangai touched the ball one time and gained 11 yards on a pass play. These are DeAndre Swift's numbers. 17 rushing attempts, 53 yards, a 3.1 rushing average, and he caught 3 passes for 12 yards. Do you think that DeAndre had a bad game, or the blocking wasn't there, or the defense coordinator designed the game plan to stop the rushing attack, or all of the above, or some of the above?
Well, I thought his best running was in the fourth quarter. They were going down, and he had some really nice runs. There was one he just literally ran over a guy, something I haven't seen him do in any time last year. And in this time, it was a run off to the left side. I think he might not have got a first down, but he got 8 or 9 yards on the run and literally ran over the one tackler. Probably one of the most physical runs I've seen by him. I thought that part was better. He was getting stopped. Part of it was the defense. Part of it, the offensive line's got to block better. So should they have tried maybe Monangai? Roshan was dressed, so it's not like he was not up on the 53. I believe he was dressed, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yes. I'm pretty sure he was. He was not on the inactive list. Yeah.
So, maybe a change of pace would have been, and that's. We haven't been around this coach to really second guess because of all the success he had in Detroit. I from the little I know of him, You think we're upset? How do you think he is right now?
Yeah, indeed.
He probably didn't go to bed last night.
He probably didn't. Indeed.
He probably went right to the office and started working.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Maybe brought a couple hours on the couch.
If that. Mananga had a really bad rep in pass protection, and I don't think we saw him after that. I didn't see that rep.
He did have a bad. He got run over, and he was a little late coming over. It was a blitz coming up the middle, I think, and he was a little late getting over. Now, whether he saw it late, I mean, the view we saw on TV was, that end zone level down low, and so I didn't see if he picked it up late. That's got to go back and look at the tape. But I mean, you can't take away the effort. The effort was there. The guy ran him over.
Absolutely. All right, I got one more question here, but I'm about to sneeze, so I'm going to mute my mic. All right. Couple of questions, one from Usama and one from Russell, and basically have to do with Caleb's accuracy. And Greg, in all of your years in the NFL and college football, XFL, what can be done to help a quarterback with their accuracy?
It goes back, and you've heard it all the time, it's footwork.
Mm-hmm.
It's footwork and release point. And so if the ball's sailing, a lot of times that could be the way his left foot, he was setting up, leading with his left foot to make the throw, or he released it a little bit too early and coming through, and so it sailed.
Right.
It wasn't an awful lot, but it was often enough to be an incomplete pass.
Mm-hmm. Here is the miss to DJ. You see it's a quick drop. He bounces. And it almost looks, we'll see it from the end zone look. It almost looks like he's too jacked up. And somebody mentioned that in the chat, which is why I'm using that word, too jacked up. It's like, I am really going to fire this ball. And it just sails on him, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Let me take a look.
I thought I'm not a quarterback coach, but I thought he stepped a little wide when you look at that.
Yeah. Okay. Good point. Let's take a look at that again. Let's remove. Oops. All right. So let me go back to the all 22. Even that first step there, right there, kind of wide, and then.
Yeah, but see now the left foot is off to the left a little bit.
Right. I'll stop.
So his hips are open.
Actually, the left foot, the toe, is pointing exactly where that ball
should be, but I thought the step was a little bit too far left, but I'm being really picky.
Yeah.
But it's real. What he said is I put it out too much in front of him. And he was correct.
Yeah.
Because if that ball is 1.5 feet to the left, it's a completion.
Yeah, and a big one too, because that was a 4th down play. And then the earlier one is the one to Cole Kmet. This was a 1st and 20.
That sailed on.
Yeah, this is the one that sailed on him. You're right. Both tight ends in there.
Both times the ball, he's stepping to the left, though. It just opens his hip a little bit.
Yeah, and he said that, they practice this and he was hitting it. And so he was at a loss for words as to why he misses this. And this one was even more wide open than the other one.
That was the same play, I believe, that they got the big gain against Buffalo in the preseason. Very similar play. Tight end seam pass.
So, you know how us Bears fans are, and I think it's the same with fans across the country for all 32 NFL teams. They wonder, well, what about if this would happen? And so there's a lot of people in the chat comparing Caleb to Justin. Should we have kept Justin and trade away that number 1 overall pick for a big load? I think both of us were on record to keep Justin Fields and move on and acquire more talent around Justin and fix the defense, that might have been the quicker fix. But at the same time, maybe Justin doesn't play this well without sitting a season with the Steelers and watching Russell Wilson and Mike Tomlin work.
Russell Wilson doesn't have a whole lot anymore.
He doesn't.
Don't forget,
sure.
Wilson was hurt. Caleb started, and they were like 3-0 or 4-0 with Caleb
They
starting.
were 4-2, if I remember correctly. Yes.
And then Wilson comes back and gets to play. The only thing is, and again, it's hindsight, which I hate using, but if they had kept him and traded it and got a bunch of picks, yeah, your personnel would be better, but he would have been paired with last year's staff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so what were the results going to be? We don't know what the results were going to be.
We don't know. Greg, when you and I went to camp, we ran into George McCaskey. You two guys talked. Unfortunately, the conversation was interrupted because he had to meet with other people, but it was clear that you guys have a connection. I mean, you work for him and so forth. If he were to call you up tonight and say, Greg, well, what's going on? What can I do to help Ryan and Kevin and people? What would you say?
Just keep going forward. You got the people you want there. Just, you got to work at it a little harder.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he's got the right people? And I'm not saying about any specific names or anything, but could there be any changes anywhere along the organization to help this team win now?
You got the coaching staff in place that you want. There's nothing that the front office can do now outside of make a trade or something. And where are you going to, you might have some trades at the trade deadline. And there's more of that now than there has been, in the last few years, there's been more trades at the trade deadline than there've been like the previous 10 years combined. It's just people are trying to get rid of contracts now where they never used to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I don't know. I think you just got to stay the course. I mean, first of all, George isn't going to do that. So
right.
That's a moot point. He stays out of football affairs,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he lets the football people do the football because he's the first guy to tell you, they know the business. I don't.
Yeah, and credit to him for saying that. What about if Ryan Poe's another person you're friendly with, communicate with from time to time, and he says, I got a lot invested in Caleb, but this coaching staff is really bugging me about Tyson and that he may be better prepared to help us win games now.
Okay, now I can answer that question for you real easy.
Excellent.
And part of this is contractual. The GM has control of the 53.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who's on the roster? The head coach has control of who plays.
So if Ben wants to see a change at quarterback or any position,
he change at quarterback.
I love that. Well, and I hope there's no change because there is a monumental investment in Caleb Williams, and he does have supreme athleticism. He could be a Patrick Mahomes, maybe even better, but he has to control his emotions. We saw some bad body language a couple times last night because of frustration, so I'll let it slide. But that's one of the things that Ben Johnson wanted to work with him on. And I'm pulling for the kid, but his performance is underwhelming right now. At least he has not played.
Let me ask you a question, just to stir up the pot a little bit.
Let's do it.
Had that article not come out last Friday,
mm-hmm.
would you still say the same thing?
Yeah, because I honestly, hand to God, I would, because I'm judging 95%. I will tell you that the article has influenced me a little bit, because if any of that stuff regarding Caleb's behavior is true, then that's concerning. If the head coach has to teach this guy to care and to study, that's different than helping a guy who, to just be a better quarterback. If you're also spending time having to whip him in the butt and say, you got to give me more time. And
all reports are, though, that he is, that he takes the bull by the horns and is working as hard as anybody.
Right. Right.
Could players be saying that because he's the quarterback? Well, yeah, they could, but I don't believe that would be the case. Put it this way, I think that if there was a frustration, especially the way Tyson played, that he might have already made a change. If there's stuff, because this guy, don't forget, his career's at stake. He just got this job, and it's like, it's not like, well, if I get fired here, I'm going to get another one. Yeah, you'll get another coordinator job, but you ain't getting another head coaching job.
Highly unlikely, at least for many years. Yeah.
It's going to, I don't want to overreact to one game.
Absolutely. I get you.
Let's just let this play out. You can go back and say, maybe you should have played the starters more in the preseason, which is the case with almost every team in the league.
Right.
You could say that. Go back to Buffalo. Buffalo started off, their offense was horrible. Their offense was like the Bears' offense, except for their first drive, was and the Bears scored on their first drive, was awful until the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And they were awful here, and between the joint practice and then in the game. But you're dealing with a guy now. This is his 8th year in the league, playing quarterback, and he's pretty much played in the same. There's been some slight changes in the system, but it's pretty much a derivative of Brian Daboll's original scheme in Buffalo.
Right. Yeah. J2K says Lovie Smith went 1-3 to start a season and was telling the media he had a good team. They went on to win 10 in a row. That's some good news.
Coach knows if you got a good team.
Yeah.
Sometimes, shit happens.
Indeed. Yeah. And, and when you say perhaps the starters should have played more, I mean, that's an argument some people are making. I'm not saying that you're making that. But I disagree with that, and if it costs us one game because the starters didn't play enough, then I'm fine with that. If they start playing up to their potential in week 2 or even week 3, and perhaps we lost out on a game because we were giving a dozen, 2 dozen more snaps in a preseason game to the starters, I doubt that that would really be a factor. But I don't know. I'm just looking for answers. I can't find any.
You know what? You're not gonna, because the game's over and they lost.
That's right.
So it's like, okay, you can sit and piss and moan about it today.
That's what I'm doing.
Now you gotta get ready for next week. What was the old strength coach name? He was at Texas for a long time. Then he was in the league, but he ran the weightlifting at the combine. And he had the real heavy Texas accent. You got to get your mind right. And that's what it is. I've been involved with this too long to fret too much over an opening game.
I hear you.
A couple of years ago, Detroit went into Kansas City, who was defending Super Bowl champion, beat them. Detroit beat Kansas City. Kansas City was still in the freaking Super Bowl at the end of the year.
That's right. by the way, Greg, we discussed that Tyler Dunn article in depth, and I don't want to do that again. But one of the things that I couldn't remember was the name of the one source who was on the record in that Tyler Dunn. And then you sent it to me. You wrote in a text to me, Chris White is the director of pro scouting for Washington now, but he's been there 2 years. He left the Bears after the 23 season.
It's when in 24, when they made the change, they made the general manager change, and they made the coaching change. It's I don't know when he left here. It could have been, sometimes you make that change, you put in the permission slip and you do it right away, or they can wait until after the draft. I don't know when he left here.
Right.
Go there.
It
is his second season. He was there for the season last year, the 24 season. Was he here for the 24 draft? I don't know.
Yeah, indeed. All right, let's talk.
But at the same time, like I said to you, he was assistant director of pro scouting here.
Right.
So they're not really involved. I go with my experience here, and really every place I've been, the pro guys aren't involved in the college side. Just like college guys aren't involved on the pro side.
So,
and he was assistant director of pro.
Yeah. You don't think that I'm trying to figure out the best way to phrase this. Is there the possibility that the pro side of the scouting team would have been in on a session where they're evaluating college quarterbacks, knowing that the Bears were probably going to draft a quarterback because they've made a decision already to move on from Justin Fields?
Could it be? Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Was he?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Nobody knows except the people inside. All right, some positives to end the show on. I saw this from Sports Chicago Styles. Thank you. He says Dio can play.
Yeah, that poor guy was taking a lot of grief during the preseason.
He sure was, right?
He played his arse off.
Yep. I hope that he continues to play at that level or even get better. And Braxton had an excellent game. Excellent. From the tape that I
got to look and see on the run blocking, but his pass blocking was pretty darn good.
Right. And Danny
and I was looking, thinking what you were saying. I'm going to be looking for the counter move coming across the face.
Yeah.
Starting outside. Never happened.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. And so Danny Shimon is going to break the Braxton's performance and other things tonight at 8 p.m. on Buffon 55. And then Sports Chicago Style also mentions a player you mentioned earlier in the show, Noah Sewell. He looked fantastic.
I said Sewell's having a great game. and the one thing, they just extended Edwards, so it's not like he's going somewhere. But they have said we wanted more speed at that.
Yes.
At the linebacker position, not necessarily the will linebacker, but the linebacker position. Sewell runs in the 4.5s.
He was quick,
if I recall. Okay.
Yes.
And Hippolyte. Now, Hippolyte had 3 tackles, and I know he was in that final drive when Minnesota had the ball. How much he was, I had not noticed him before that, but he could have been playing some snaps. I just, I didn't notice him until that last drive.
Yeah. And a couple of people in the chat are pointing out a couple of misplays by Sewell. Yes, he did not play an absolutely perfect game, but I was just super impressed by his speed and quickness in diagnosing plays. He could have graded out a little higher, but I am, we're bringing loose because of Noah Sewell. In fact, he helped us get out to that lead. Great defense by the Chicago Bears for 3 quarters.
He made some plays on the perimeter that if he doesn't have the speed and quickness that he has, those plays don't get made.
Yeah, indeed. Regarding the running back position, this team needs a power back. If Roshan Johnson is not getting carries and Kyle Monangai, his pass blocking is suspect, and you got to put him in there, is G-Man correct in saying bring in Britton Brown and start utilizing that? Because Swift,
as I know, is one thing, they didn't bring him up from the practice. They didn't bring him up as you only could bring up 2. They brought up a linebacker who plays on special teams,
right?
Jones, and they brought in Passignon,
Mm-hmm.
who we said yesterday I thought was going to be brought up as an extra defensive end, and he gets a sack.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had 2 or 3 tackles for the game. So they're happy with the running backs that they have. That's very obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Was Roshan not quite ready? I don't know the answer to that, but they probably, by the looks of it, they could have brought up a corner because you had 2 corners out.
Yeah.
You could have brought up a running back. They didn't. They brought up a linebacker and they brought up a defensive end. Now you only can bring up 2.
Right.
And so they, part of it plays into special teams and those types of things. But now there's another way you could do it. You could flat out waive a guy, bring up a guy from the practice squad. When you bring up a guy from the practice squad, though, you got to keep him up for 3, not as a bring up for the, for the game, bring up, but a regular sign him to the team, waive somebody and sign him to the team. You've got to keep him for 3 weeks, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that.
I know that's the case if you poach a player.
All right.
So if Detroit comes in here and signs somebody off the Bears practice squad, they got to have that player on their active roster for a minimum of 3 games.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you, I'm going to bounce back from this.
Of course you will.
I'm going to tell people to watch the British Bears show on the Bears Country Productions at 3 p.m. and then check us out, Buffalo 55 at 8 p.m. or right here on the Barroom Network.
What else you got going this week on the Barroom?
On the Barroom, we got a show Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Friday night. So we're loaded with stuff. And I wanted and I was thinking about doing like a late Friday night, Saturday night show, but I don't think starting it after a loss is a good idea. So, because I want it to be a happy show.
I don't know if you're gonna, just thinking out loud here. I don't know if the Saturday night you're gonna get much of an audience.
We won't. But the reason,
it's Friday night party night, Saturday night party night,
exactly,
date night, whatever. College football's going on. I can always watch it later.
And it would be probably for 25 viewers on a Saturday night. You're absolutely right. It's not going to be a big hit, that's for sure. But I don't know. Maybe I should just stick to this, and it's a lot less stress in my life, particularly if the team continues to struggle for weeks on. I do think that this team is going to play better ball as we go along.
Not a doubt in my mind. I'm still very, very positive going into this thing because I liked the reaction that Ben Johnson had.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. He's a fighter.
And the reaction was, it's like, I want to do this press conference like I bowl shot my head, but he really had to do it.
Yeah.
And again, he was pretty forthright. And that's what's positive. But he was as disappointed as we are, more so than we are. He's been working at it.
Yes. Yeah.
And his coaches got to be disappointed. You don't think DA's not disappointed that his defense fell apart in the fourth quarter?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wish, I don't know if anybody got hurt. Have you heard of anybody got hurt? We saw DJ get hurt, but he came right back in and played.
Right. That was amazing.
Got hurt. He came back in and played.
Okay. I didn't know that one.
But I know in the fourth quarter anyway, I'm not sure about the third quarter, Billings wasn't playing. And this is the anchor guy.
Yeah.
Playing in the rotation. And to have a little bit of, some fresher legs in there, who's a big, strong guy who can really hold that center of the line. I just don't, if I got to second guess anything on defense, I'm second guessing that.
Yeah.
Just that, why wasn't he in at least for some of the downs as part of the rotation? Because I kept looking, he's not in there. He's not in there. It was,
Right.
Dexter. And Dexter had a decent game.
Mhm.
But, when you play every snap, and the defensive line played a lot of snaps, there wasn't a lot of substitution. Williams was in at defensive tackle for a little while. Robinson was in at defensive end. Passington was in at defensive end, but they didn't play a lot. They might have played 12, 15 snaps. We can get the snap count, but it just didn't seem like they were there a lot as compared to other years when they've been playing with a rotation.
Yeah, one of the things I'll do in shows starting next week is have the snap count available for us, because that's always something that we should be paying attention to. It helps with our analysis.
Especially in the defensive line, if a team starts running on you, part of that can be fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
Where you were winning at the point of attack early, and then fatigue comes in, and you just don't have that power. Then you got to have somebody else doing it.
A lot of people wondering about Caleb's leadership abilities. Let's not make any judgments. Let's not rush to judgment, but I will. I'm not going to give him the whole season. He's got to show some improvement here in the games ahead. So I know we've got some anti-Caleb people in the chat. God. Anyway,
that's fine. I mean, that's
yeah.
You win,
We're fans.
you go away. Put it this way: all that stuff would have gone away if they won last night. You might have a
Absolutely.
little, that's the power of a W. So, it's like the Cubs started off last week playing good, and then they lose 2 out of 3 to a lousy Washington team. So now, you're ready to line them up, and have the St. Valentine's Massacre all over again.
Are they still in the playoff hunt, the Cubs?
Oh yeah, they're going to be a wild card team.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like a 9-game lead or something like that. So,
all right,
in the wild card.
Team Skeletor. It's 1 game, guys. Let's see how the season progresses. Perfect words. By the way, do you have something with Swifty coming up? Swift Sports Network?
Well, we did last Friday. We may do something this week. I got a new crew coming in Friday, and I still don't know what time. I called them today, and they say we haven't set the schedule yet. So I don't know. I got to work that around them.
Yeah.
And Swifty, I'd let them know.
All right, Swiss Sports Network. You should be a subscriber, as well as Bears Country Productions. And who else? Anyone else that has a podcast, let us know. We'll promote you in an upcoming show. For Greg Gabriel, my name is Aldo Gandia. We will be back here next week after the Bears upset the Detroit Lions. By the way, the Lions are 6.5 points favorites. If you were a betting man, would you put $100 down on the Bears?
That
Win some
changed
money.
because it was Sunday night after Detroit lost. Biggs put out, because he talks to Joe Fortenbaugh. We all worked at the National Football. Biggs wrote for the National Football Post. I did.
I didn't know that. I knew you did. You owned the place.
Biggs did, and Fortenbaugh did. And so we Biggsy's contact with the numbers and stuff is with Joe, and Joe, that's a guy we probably should talk about having on. Joe is a good guy.
Yeah, I love Joe. Bring him on.
He's actually living in Connecticut now. They moved him to Bristol. He was living on the West Coast, but
he does a great job.
He had, I think it was Detroit 2.5 or 3.5 Sunday. So that shifted 3 points in a day.
Oh, wow.
Or
interesting.
Day and a
half. A10 Warthog says you can afford to lay $1,000 on the Bears to beat the Lions. Do so.
I don't sports bet. Not about to start.
Greg admitted that he used to gamble way back when, but no longer does. He's a smart man. Save your money.
I haven't even played blackjack in a few years. So
Really? I can't play blackjack. I'm just terrible with numbers. And so, you gotta be able to count to 3 or 4 if you play blackjack.
I'd go in when I went into like an Indian casino or something on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, okay, got $100 in my pocket, and I'm not going to a $25 table. I'm going to a $10 table or something.
Yeah,
or a $5 table. Right. And I'd say, okay, if I dump the 100, I'm out. I walk away.
Yeah, that's
if
the way
I
to do it.
double the 100, I walk away. And that was the rule.
Yeah, that is usually what I do. But there have been a couple of times where I foolishly continued to bet and
when you do that, you lose.
Yes, exactly. They always get the money back if you were fortunate to win some money. Zach says, I love craps. He's not a blackjack guy either. I hear that.
I don't even understand craps. So
I don't either. My wife loves craps and I just can't understand it. I got stories about that. We'll save for another day. All right. For Greg Gabriel, I'm Aldo Gandia. This is GTF. Join us next Monday, 11 a.m. Central, back to our regular time. And we really appreciate you guys joining us live and those watching on demand. Take care, everybody.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.